Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Dennis Mark Interdonato. He is a estate expert, and we'll be learning about so many things about the trends, the reality on reality. So we'll be learning a lot of things. Welcome to the show, Dennis.
Thank you, AJ. Appreciate it. Looking forward to this masterclass.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show. Dennis, welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk about. We'll learn about the US market. We'll understand how it's a bit different than the Indian market. And that is where we said we'll learn about the real estate reality check. In that backdrop, we'll understand both the India and the US market, especially the New Jersey market. But before that, let's understand a bit about your background, your journey, so that the listeners knows who they are listening to.
Well, my journey is unique. I was never supposed to be a realtor. I got into real estate just to supplement my income. I come from a construction background, grew up in the family business, went away to college, didn't really want anything to do with the family business. Getting out of college and shortly after getting out of the military, didn't really know what I wanted to do. Turned to the family business, which was a building and remodeling business my father had built up. It turned out to be a very successful business. I helped him build it out, and eventually I took it over. And when he retired from the business, I retired the business with him because construction was never really the passion. Fast forward a few years later, got my real estate license and realized I was not terrible at it and began to pursue it as a full-time career. And that's what brings us together today.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I want to understand, as we step into 2025, I want to understand uh, what are the things that we are going to leave behind in terms of real estate, and what are the new things that we will adapt to and adopt in the next year. How do you see the real estate market, especially in your area, from where you are sitting at?
That's like a loaded question right now here in the States. I mean, I can only speak for New Jersey because that's where I am. And I can tell you that our market is a little unique. We are still seeing a lot of real estate going on here in New Jersey. Not very characteristic of what the rest of the country is seeing. However, we are starting to see a decline in the amount of sales, the amount of multiple offer sales, things of that nature. I think what we need to leave behind is the mentality of the old buying and selling process regarding the list prices. So back, I would say 6 years ago, prior to COVID, prior to that significant drop in the interest rates that we saw, when you put a house on the market, everybody knew that that was probably the most amount of money a seller was going to get for their home. And now the tables have turned. And now when we see a house on the market, most buyers are thinking, well, that's the least amount of money that they're going to accept for that house. So the mentality has completely flip-flopped. And I think the faster that people buying and selling realize that, the easier it's going to make it for them to be successful in this market, whether they're buying or they're selling.
What does that mean? Is it a buyer's market or is it a seller's market?
Right now, I would say we're still in a seller's market. We are moving to a more, I would say, leveled out market, but still a seller's market, still seeing multiple offer situations, still seeing homes going for over list price. It's not happening all over. It is area specific. And now more so, I would say it is homes are unit specific, meaning the house itself, the condition that it is in, is dictating how fast or how slow it's going to sell for. More of a normalized market, I guess you could say. That it does appear to be what we're moving back towards. But then again, there's talk of interest rates going back down. Whether that happens or not, we still don't know yet. Still too early to make a distinction about that. But if they do drop again, and they drop enough where people will think that it's a big enough drop for them to start buying again, we are going to see another small boom here in New Jersey, because there is an abundance of buyers still waiting on the sidelines for something to happen where they can feel that the homes are more affordable for them to try and make a purchase.
Right. So these are all, individual buyers, not some firm, some company that is looking for a home for them. It's people who want to stay in those houses.
Yes, individual buyers, people like yourself, like myself, first-time buyers. I have not really experienced the whole large corporation purchasing homes that we keep hearing about. Maybe it's different outside of New Jersey. I know it happens here in the state, but where I live, which is the Jersey Shore, doesn't really happen that much.
Right. For an outsider, somebody who is in this part of the world, when you talk, but this is for that part of the market, is that when you compare New Jersey with Florida, if I understand, call it the next Florida. What do you mean by that?
So New Jersey has a little bit of everything in this state. And we have transplants coming from New York because it's more affordable than New York. And we have a lot of people that don't want to leave the state because the state has a lot to offer. Even though it's a very small state and it's very overpopulated, you can get everything you need here in New Jersey. We have mountains, we have lakes, we have the oceans, we have beaches, we have amusement parks, we have camping, we have castles. We have everything in this state. So there are a lot of people that don't want to leave. Furthermore, Florida has changed. Living down there has changed. Most people who move down to Florida are typically the 55 and over demographic that are looking for a cheaper way to live. But it's not that cheap anymore, especially when you start figuring in what's going on with home insurance.
Right. Right. So Dennis, let me understand, in terms of, uh, the whole business of having a realtor, having a real estate agent, and looking at buying or selling a house. A lot of times, people nowadays, with all the information available, with online portals, with so much of listings and everything, people generally think that, why not try and talk to the seller themselves, or maybe through someone who knows those people. The reason is not that they don't want to keep an agent there with them, but many a time that trust is gone, or is dwindling a lot of times from the realtor or the real estate agent, if whatever we may want to call it. Why is it so? Why is this whole industry, in a sense, has become, in spite of all the regulations, people do not seem to trust the people there, in terms of buying or selling their properties or their houses, whatever they want to do? Why is it that?
I think that number of we're talking about right now is still a very small number of people. And again, I can only speak for what I have going on over here. There's a very, very small percentage of people who prefer to not utilize a realtor, who prefer to try and do sales on their own. And the reason why that small statistic wants to do that, number one, they want to save money. Number two, bad experience somewhere along the way that just completely put a bad taste in their mouth about working with realtors. And, nobody ever remembers about the good things that we do. They only remember the bad things. You could do 100 good things and one bad thing. They're always just going to remember the bad thing. I think that is probably the case with the majority of the people who try to either sell their homes on their own, or if they're a buyer, try and go directly to the seller to try and cut a deal to eliminate commissions and trust themselves over anyone else. And honestly, I think those two reasons are probably the top two reasons as to why people do that now.
Right. So, what have the realtors or the agents have to do to gain people's trust? Are they doing enough, or is it sheer, just that whole urge of making some extra money out of whatever they are doing, either from the buyer side or on the seller side? What is it that more needs to be done?
So there's this thing that I say, and you have realtors, and then you have professional realtors, and there is a huge difference. And realtors, a normal realtor is anybody with a license who belongs to NAR and follows that code of ethics. But they do not pour into their business. They are, as you just said, looking to make some extra money. But then you have professional realtors who are in this not only to make money, like, look, this is my career. Obviously, I'm in this to make money, to make a living. But I am also in this because I do believe I'm one of those people who does care about everybody, who wants to educate, who wants to provide value beyond just a real estate transaction. I want to provide an experience. And there are realtors out there like myself who believe that and feel that and want to be that person to people who are not realtors and who do need help in the real estate industry. And that big difference right there, that's another thing that kind of puts like a bad taste in people's mouths, because there are a lot of realtors who do not pour into their business. They do not take a step back and say, am I doing everything I can for my clients? Are they my client, or are they more than that to me? And if the answer is they're my client, well, that's the wrong answer. They should be more to you. This is a relationship, a building relationship, and a lasting relationship, something that should be over time, years and years and years of friendship and doing transactions and becoming generational. And I think if more realtors had that type of mindset, you would see a lot more people being inclined to 100% want to work with realtors.
Right. And for people who have had whatever experience, many of them have very good experience, some do not have that good experience. What would you still recommend them? Why having a realtor on your side is actually a good thing, and that it can, instead of not only there'll be a bit of investment, or expenses, but it will still help them in terms of save them a lot of money, save them a lot of trouble.
It definitely saves them a lot of headache and stress if you're with the right realtor. Realtors are supposed to advise. We're supposed to provide education. We're supposed to be the people who fill in the blanks and the gaps for what you don't know and what you think you know, but maybe you really don't know. And if every realtor can convey that, then people would see what the value is in having a realtor. Furthermore, there are a lot of things that people don't know about. For example, if you had people trying to do a deal on their own, let's take the seller, for example. The seller has to accept all the offers that come in on their home. But I would say 9 times out of 10, the seller doesn't actually do all the work that a realtor would do as those offers are coming in. The seller isn't negotiating with any realtor that brings an offer to them. They're probably just accepting the offers and then making a decision based on whatever has the most money or the best terms. They're not vetting the mortgage, the lenders. They're not making those phone calls. They're not going back to other realtors and trying to negotiate that price point up. They're just doing what they think they need to do. They're not a realtor. they don't have the influence. They don't do this every day. So they might try to pre-educate themselves on the internet and maybe watch a couple YouTube videos, but it still will never compare to someone who is 100% passionate and loyal to them and wants to work with them to get them literally the most money they possibly can with the best terms, amount of time.
Right, Dennis. So, what is the best way to find a good realtor? Means, how do I know that I'm getting a professional one and a good one?
Do your homework on the realtors. First off, you want to interview at least 3 realtors, at least 3. And you want to go beyond what they're telling you. So prior to meeting them and then after meeting them, you want to call their references. You want to look them up on social media, which is a big one these days. Most importantly, though, you want to see what type of value they're providing to you when they're not with you. Are they leaving you with things after you've had the appointment? When you go on their website, what is on their website that would make you want to work with them? Do they have informational videos? Do they have links to additional education? Do they have guides for you to download so that if you have questions when they're not with you or it's late at night, you have something to reference? You want a realtor who not only knows what they're doing, also laid out an entire plan for their clients so that they are never without anything throughout the entire transaction and beyond after the transaction has closed, and now you are continuing to keep in touch through the years.
Right. Now, one last thing I want to understand is the future. How do you see this whole future, with especially with a new president coming in, and a lot of things are changing in the last 2025 will be a whole new year. Even houses will come in with more technology, much more gadgets and all, a lot of things, and people will have those desires, especially in the luxury housing segment. People, even if they are, normal houses, people want to move in a lot of those gadgets and the high tech things into their presence because it's affordable for them nowadays. It's all because of the artificial intelligence and technology. How do you see things going forward in terms of the type of houses people are looking for?
That's a really interesting question. There are a lot of different ways, excuse me, that homes are now being built and modified. We no longer need to use just wood frame structure. We have houses being made out of concrete using machines and robots. We have houses now being made completely out of dense foam. It's really hard to say where do we think the housing market's going to go based on all the options we have right now. But I can say we're going to probably start seeing a lot more of it popping up naturally. That has everything to do on a township level and a state level because they have to approve these items to either be built with for the home or to be installed into the home before it can happen. But I do believe that you'll probably start seeing a lot more legislation coming up for green products or reusable products to, build homes with, things of that nature, to make the homes more efficient, make them work better for the homeowner, install AI, install new technology. It's certainly coming. And I'm excited and scared at the same time to see how that's all going to pan out.
Absolutely. One more thing I want to understand is that when is the right time for a buyer or a seller to connect with a person like you? Is it just very close to the sale, or sale or buying has to be planned long as early as possible?
If anyone is thinking about doing any type of real estate move, the minute they start thinking about it, that's when they should contact someone or at least start the process of identifying whom they might want to speak with and or interview to move that forward. Naturally, with the internet these days, people have a lot of opportunity to self-educate, and that's great. But you still need someone to represent you. You still need someone who can be completely unbiased with the other side and be all in it for you and be that advisor, someone who does it all the time. Any time is a great time to buy and sell real estate, but you have to be ready to do it. You don't want to be pressured into it. You want someone who's going to sit down and strategize with you with the game plan for when you are ready. Typically, most people start thinking about real estate moves 6 to 18 months before they're going to make that move. So I would say, as I said earlier, the minute you start thinking about making any type of real estate move, or even if you have questions, go call a realtor or start researching realtors either in your area or the area that you're thinking of making the real estate move to, and get the right information for yourself that way. It doesn't cost you any money to do that. And most realtors are more than happy to sit down and have those conversations with you.
Absolutely. There is much to learn and understand about all these things. And I'm sure a lot of people would want to connect with you and learn more from you, about you, get their deal done through you. What is the best way for them to do so?
Well, if you're in the United States, text me, 732-598-2672. Just text me. I respond to everything. If you are more of a passive person, you can email me at dennismark@thedennismarkgroup.com, or you can find me on social media. All you need to do is search Dennis Mark or Dennis Mark Real Estate, and I'll pop right up.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.